Do you even know what is going on around the world? 우리가 평화롭게 사는 세상 안과 밖에서는 어떤 일들이 일어나고 있을까요? 변호사와 함께 세계의 사건 현장 이야기를 들어보고 어떤 법들이 적용될 수 있는지 알아보는 시간 사건File입니다. 자, 저희가 돌아가면서 변호사분들을 모실 텐데요. 오늘은 먼저 백규하 변호사님 오셨어요. 안녕하세요. 반갑습니다.
Hello guys. 안녕하세요.
먼저 자기소개 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, so my name is Mark. That's my English name. My Korean name is 백규하. I'm a lawyer, attorney working at a law firm called 지평, especially focusing on employment and labor issues.
Wow. And what a time to be on the show just because, you know, we had Labor Day this past Monday. And
May 1st.
Did you have a lot of cases coming in
Well,
on Labor Day, or is that just a day?
On Labor Day, a lot of workers just take a rest.
Sure.
So there are not many cases on Labor Day.
Okay.
Yeah, but there were some like strikes going on the streets.
Okay.
And then usually after that, there's usually some sort of discussions between the labor organizations and the government and the companies.
Right.
So more cases will come after the Labor Day.
Oh, I see. Well, 바쁘실
It's okay,
시기인가요?
it's my job.
Yeah, that's right. Well, in any case, you probably have lots of different cases that come towards you. And for me, I love watching, these CSI movies or even watching the news. You'd wonder, what happens next?
Right.
What kind of, punishment does this criminal receive? And all things like that. But here in Korea, there are different laws and different reinforcements. And so we're going to learn a little bit about a particular event that happened not too long ago. 오늘 들려줄 이슈가 어떤 걸까요?
So today's topic is something called meth drinks or like drug drinks, also known as mega ADHD, which was reported about a month ago.
You said meth drinks? Oh my goodness.
It's a real serious case.
So drugs are inside these beverages.
Right, correct.
Okay. Oh my goodness. And so I guess it is being marketed as mega ADHD. 그러면 ADHD의 like 치료 or 방지?
Well, it was labeled as like something that enhances your focus when you're studying because it was distributed like in the 학원 area, the cram schools area.
Wow.
And then it was made for students. It was targeted for students. Actually.
Right, targeted for the young kids. 자, 먼저 어떤 사건인지 간단히 소개해드리자면 워낙 뉴스에 많이 나와서 다들 알고 계실 수도 있지만 정리하는 차원에서 말씀드리겠습니다. So it happened around 3 weeks ago in early April on a street with a lot of after-school academies in Gangnam, like you said. 자, 학생들이 많은 강남 학원의 길에서 어떤 어른들이 지나가는 학생들에게 무료로 음료를 나눠주는 거죠. So some people would, give out these free drinks to the students, but 그 음료가 오늘 소개해드릴 메가 ADHD라는 음료인 거죠. So those drinks is what you called meth drinks or, so to say, mega ADHD. Wow. Scary news indeed. And as you said, it was to enhance focus. What more do we know about this issue?
So the description on the drink said it enhances focus and it had a pharmaceutical company's name on it. So students probably thought that it would contain like caffeine or taurine, like the things we have in the energy drinks. But actually they had meth in it mixed with some kind of fluids. I don't know if it's like a milk or something. It looked really white. But they tried it, but it tasted weird, unlike normal energy drinks. So this smelled so bad, so students didn't finish it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's quite interesting. It seems like they didn't even want to disguise the taste of it. And so to even imagine drinking methamphetamine, I don't even know how that would go. I've only seen pictures, before and after pictures of people who do these types of drugs, and you see their face just disforms.
Right.
And so it's scary that it's just freely given out to these kids without knowing what kind of consequences that they would have to face. Which is interesting because, you said there wasn't any caffeine or taurine, like you said. And you said that it was a different type of drug. And this is what it's called. Philopon, if I'm saying that right?
Yeah, Philopon is like a term they used in Japan because it was like a product name used by a Japanese company who made the mix of the drug. And then in Korea we call it Philopon, but in English it's meth.
Okay. Well, it's interesting how it would even, come into Korea because I feel like Korea is very drug safe. Nobody does drugs, compared to America or different countries. Do we know how people got their hands on meth or Philopon or whichever?
It was really orchestrated by some people from China. So the criminal one criminal is still staying in China.
Okay.
And then they introduced those drugs from China into Korea, and then they distributed it as one of those energy drinks to students so that they can threaten those students and their parents and get some money out of it.
Oh, so it's like a scam.
Right, it's a scam.
I was wondering maybe like they wanted to get these kids hooked on the drugs and kind of create a demand.
That's the usual tactic they use for the drug addicts. But this one was for the blackmailing.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. People are getting more and more desperate to start scamming and
right.
because usually 예전에는 그냥 보이스피싱이라고 하면 전화로 사기치는 경우가 대부분이었는데
yes.
Nowadays you have to be careful of even these promotions that you see because you never know what's inside of these quote unquote free drinks.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so were there any like terrible symptoms that these kids got?
Well, I heard that some students felt some dizziness, but they didn't finish it all. So not every student experienced it, and then they were just fine, except for the dizziness.
Do we know what would happen if they were to drink the entire can or bottle or the entire
Well, I don't know about the medical side effects of it, but it's just a one-time consuming, so I don't think it would have any like a future side effects on them. But
would the punishment change if a kid were to drink the entire thing, have more severe symptoms?
It matters if you knowingly consume it, but it doesn't matter if you did not know that it's a drug and then you consume it the whole bottle or even part of it or just part of it.
Meaning for like punishment's sake. Like if this person gave me a drink and I didn't know what it was, I drank a sip out of it and I felt dizzy, didn't drink it. Does that person get the same amount of punishment as if I were to drink it, get severely injured? Or
No, it would be different. The criminals or the suspects were charged with two different charges.
Okay.
First one is the violation of the Drug Act, and then Drug Control Act, and then the second one is the violation of the criminal law. And then the first one is that it was due to the distribution and then giving the drugs to the students.
Right.
And then the second one was that it's called injury under criminal law.
Okay.
In Korean, it's 상해. It's just that it has some side effects on your body, some biological effects.
Okay.
In that case, you get punished for that. So if you just have the drink, but then there's no change in your body, then you're gonna get punished just for the violation of the Drug Control Act. But if you drink the alcohol, but drink that thing, and then you get some kind of side effects on your body, then the person will get punished with the criminal law too.
I see. So it depends on whatever side effect that person has and the severity of that as well.
Right.
The criminal or the suspect can be punished or accordingly. Wow. Do we know if all the, what do we call them, convicts, are they all caught? Or
we don't know if all of them are caught. We know that, as far as I know, there's four suspects, and then 3 suspects got in jail, and then they're on to trial. One, it's the trial process is still going. He's not charged yet, and then there's one found in China, but then we couldn't arrest him yet. So the Korean police is working with Chinese police to get him to Korea.
Have we been seeing trends of these cases before, or is this the first of its kind?
We've seen a few cases before, but not something like this because
Okay.
this one was pretty shocking because it happened in Gangnam, Daechidong, which is like a really center of Korea.
Right.
And then it was with students just studying hard, and then they were getting the drinks and then had drugs in it. It was really shocking to normal Koreans. I guess.
Yeah, I assume so. 그러면 이런 죄를 저지른 사람들은 잡히면 또 어떤 처벌을 받게 될까요? So what kind of punishments would they face?
So it's a violation of the drug control law for
Right.
treating drugs for minors. And also, like I said, a violation of the criminal law for injuring victims. So the penalties for them is at least 10 years of imprisonment,
Okay.
which is very strong punishment. And it could go all the way up to the death penalty, although no death penalty has been actually given or executed in Korea since December 1997.
I was going to ask if we have capital punishment here in Korea. 1997, you say,
That was the last time they were executed.
Wow. What was the reason for it? Do you know?
I briefly looked at it. It was really they executed like many
I see.
criminals
I
then.
see.
It was like 23, 28 of them.
Oh, wow.
Usually they were like a serial killers
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's probably a conversation for a different time. But once again, we are here talking about the mega ADHD issue. I don't know if you guys have heard of it before, but so-called methamphetamine beverages that were passed out to kids in the Gangnam area. Kids who were just studying and they wanted to blackmail them saying, hey, you took these drugs and now you have to pay us a certain amount of money.
Right. That was their purpose.
My goodness. So some convicts say that they're not guilty.
Some convicts?
Some convicts say they're not guilty because they only saw the ads looking for people to do casual jobs. Is this something that we can trust? They were just, doing what they were told to do. They had no idea.
Right. I mean, suspects almost always give excuses. So
Sure.
we cannot really trust them.
Right.
But if what they're saying is true, and then if it is indeed proven that they really didn't know, then there's a possibility that they are not get punished because they were just involved like not knowingly.
Right. Well, then what about the kids as well? 마약을 마신 학생들은 처벌을 받을 수 있나요? Is there like a possibility that they can be
in
punished?
this case, they're just victims.
Okay.
They just drank it without knowing that they had drugs in it.
Right.
So they won't get punished. The drug law does not have any negligence clause. It's called 과실범.
Okay.
So if there's any specific clause in the criminal law that punishes the people with negligence, that you should have acted and behaved in a way
Right.
that you should protect yourself or
Right.
others. But if you violate the law with the negligence clause, then you can get punished. But in case of drug law, they don't have that kind of clause.
A negligence clause. Interesting.
Just consuming the drugs by mistake won't be punished.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard about this case, but it's definitely fascinating how people can really mess with even the younger generation just to get, a few million won and things like that. But we'll take a quick song break. And if you guys have any more questions, 노래 듣고 와서 변호사님께 여쭤보겠습니다. Here is Imagine Dragons' Believer. We are here with Mark in the studio talking law when it comes to mega ADHD, a methamphetamine beverage that was passed out to kids in the Gangnam, academies region where, kids were just wanting to study hard. And I guess these scammers wanted to blackmail the kids and also their parents into, getting some money out of this. So if we take a look at the crime dictionary, at time we have a look at issues that were hot potatoes in our society and also learn legal knowledge from them. Today we are looking at drugs. 오늘 주제는 요즘 계속 뉴스에 등장하는 마약에 대한 주제를 다루고 있는데요. 접근하기도 조심스러운데요. 하나하나 알아보도록 하겠습니다. So you said that there was meth in this drink. But I don't even know really what meth is or pillepon, so to say. Doesn't sound Korean. But what can we know about what this drug is and what it does to people or things like that?
Yeah, meth is its English name, and there's also something called crystal meth. It's
Right.
like a purest and strongest kind of meth, very easily addicted. And then back in the past, it was called hiropong in Korea. And then meth is a synthetic drug which was invented by Japan and used as a stimulant during the World War II era. Companies that sell meth named their products Pilopon, so in Korea it goes by that name.
I see. I mean, it's incredible that it would come over to Korea because once again, we always feel like Korea is pretty strict and stern when it comes to drug use and things of that nature. So it's surprising that for some reason and somehow people were able to traffic meth into Korea, put it in a drink, and then pass it out to kids. But does Pilipon have a different meaning than meth, or is it just based on the company's name?
Well, as far as I know, it's just based on the company's name,
Right.
the product name by the Japanese company
Right.
who produced it.
I heard it's Greek, or it comes from Greece or something like that.
Yeah, it comes from Greek word. In Greek, it's philoponus. That means love labor. Because when you have this chemicals inside your body, you don't feel fatigue and get overwhelming energy. So it makes the person into like a tireless robot.
Right. Well, I mean, it sounds, great if I can be, this tireless robot and do all the work that I can. But obviously it comes with, detrimental side effects to your body and also your face and everything like that. There are many different types of drugs too, as well. So do we know any examples?
So according to the drug control law, in a broad sense, there are 4 types of drugs. Opium, and then psychotropic substances, which is called 향정신성 의약품, and then cannabis, which includes weed and others. So morphine, heroin, cocaine, and oxycontin are included in opium. And then LSD and meth are grouped as psychotropic substances, and marijuana, weed, is classified as cannabis.
Back in the States, this is just a personal question. Back in the States, weed has been legalized as well as so many places around the world. And I want to know if you think that weed will soon be legalized in Korea.
In Korea?
Yeah.
I highly doubt it.
Really?
Yeah, because Koreans are really conservative to drugs and things like that. And then
just because we see in the news like certain celebrities, it's like more and more people use this drug that is so widely spread around the world. And so, some people might say, oh, it seems a bit unfair if they did it abroad and they come to Korea and they get caught. And so I wonder if those rules, the laws would be loosened up a bit in the future or...
Well, yeah, I don't really think so because, I mean, back in the States, as far as I know, it's only legalized in a few states like California.
Right,
and stuff.
correct, right.
In other states, it's still illegal. So until like all the states in America are legalizing the marijuana and weeds,
maybe then we can.
Yeah, maybe then we can consider it, but not yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there are actually certain people I heard that are allowed to deal drugs. I don't know if that's the right term to say. But 마약류 그 취급자는 어떤 사람들일까요?
So under the law, they are called as narcotics handling personnel, who may import, produce, and sell narcotic drugs. And then they need permits by the government. There are also medical staff and academic researchers who can handle the narcotic drugs.
Oh, okay. For research sake as well. I mean, Korea used to be called, a drug-free country, but why do we get so many drug crimes now? Do you think it has always been there and we're just, seeing more and more exposure? Or is it really that more and more drugs are coming into Korea?
Back in the 80s, I researched it a little, and then they say that back in the 80s, when the drug producers who exported meth to Japan and then sold the drugs they started to sell the drugs to Korean citizens.
I see.
Because back then they couldn't export the meth due to strong investigation by the government back then. So for a brief time period,
Right.
meth was kind of expanding among Korean citizens back in the 80s. But after that, government took a really strong approach to that. So it almost disappeared among like ordinary citizens. But until like 6, 7 to 8 years ago, so drug cases were mostly for celebrities or like chaebol kids who were studying abroad. But these days, it became rather common among ordinary citizens. It is reported that online drug sales through SNS really contributed to the huge increase of drug cases.
Can I ask how long you've been a lawyer for?
It's been about 5 years.
5 years. 5년 동안 제일 기억할 만한 케이스가 있다면, if when it comes to like 마약 사건 or.
Well, I never dealt with 마약 사건 in my life, so.
Great.
Right.
Thank goodness. Would it be more of a headache? Are there cases that are more difficult to handle?
Yeah, I mean, as an attorney, there are some times that you have to defend some people that look like a villain.
Right.
So in that case, there's some like philosophical questions going on in my mind.
Yeah, I bet.
That's the hardest time I can get as a lawyer.
Well, I mean, conversations still more to come. We're running out of time, but we're going to continue with the second part of the show when it comes to 사건File. Hopefully you guys can stick around. Send us in your messages if you have any questions regarding the law as well. In the meantime, here's Third Eye Blind, Semi-Charmed Life. What is going on around the world? 우리가 평화롭게 사는 세상 안과 밖에서는 어떤 일들이 일어나고 있을지 여러분 아시나요? 그래서 변호사님을 모셨습니다. 사건 File. Today we have our very own Mark here in the studio. 백규하 변호사님 모셨습니다. 안녕하세요.
Hello.
We have a few messages coming in. 4473님. 질문하시는 게 향정신성이라는 게 무슨 말인가요?
향정신성 it's in the law that they have a specific definition of 향정신성 의약품, which is called psychotropic substances.
Okay.
And then it's substances that affect the human central nervous system, 중추신경계 in Korean, which can severely damage human body.
Yeah, and there's a lot of psychology that goes behind, substance abuse and things like that. I mean, we know the detrimental effects it has on our health, but even so, people get addicted to these things, which is quite tragic. And to see, people trying to get kids hooked on them and blackmailing them is even more terrible. 6687님 히로뽕 해서 그런 줄 알았는데 영어로 필로폰이군요 라고 하시는데 I mean,
exactly speaking, 필로폰도 사실 it's not a usual word they use in the States. It's meth or crystal meth. 필로폰은 it's like a alphabetic form of 히로뽕.
Right.
Yeah.
So the more you know, I mean, it's an interesting topic,
right.
drug use. 1946님께서는 딸아이 영어 공부 시키느라 늦게 다시 공부하고 있는데 갈 길이 머네요. Convict, culprit, suspect의 차이점 알려주세요.
It's really difficult.
저도 몰라요.
이거는 그리고 because we have like different legal systems in US and in Korea. Convict는 제가 알기로는 이제 유죄로 된 사람.
Okay.
네, 그 found guilty 된 사람이고 suspect는 아직 그렇게 되기 전이죠.
Sure.
그 이제 we have suspicions on those people that they might have caused the crime. 그리고 culprit은 I don't think it's a legal term. It's like a literary term.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think
that comes in literature.
Similar to culprit to suspect as well.
Yeah, I think it's similar to convict because
convict.
It's like it means like a bad person.
Okay.
Who committed crime or who's to blame.
Okay.
as far as I know, I don't know. I need to look up the dictionary.
I'll trust you. 변호사님
no.
말씀을
Don't trust me.
믿겠습니다.
네.
Yeah, well, in any case, we still have more to talk about and more to learn. 다음 케이스는 뭘까요? 다음 케이스는 수리남에 대해서 이야기인데요. 수리남 실화 속 주인공 조봉행 근황은? 입니다. Based on a true story of Surinam, which is the real person of the story, 조보행's current status는 뭘까요? So apparently this was based on a true story. It was drama, correct?
It's a
드라마였는데요.
Netflix series.
놀랍게도 수리남 영어 제목 Narco Saints는 실화를 기반으로 한 드라마이고요. 실제로 없었던 일이 각색되어 들어가기도 했지만 드라마보다 더 심해서 일부러 뺀 장면들도 적지 않았다고 하네요.
네.
Which is even more interesting and intriguing. Sometimes when you watch a movie that is based on a true story or true events, 그 다큐멘터리를 보게 되고 실제로
그렇죠.
어떤 일이 도대체 있었는지
You kind of start to like delve into
Yeah,
those cases and
빠지게
histories and
되더라고요.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But so this particular event, 이 드라마 제목 때문에 또 외교적으로 문제가 되기도 했다고 들었습니다.
네. 수리남 그 외교 디파트먼트에서 officially 이렇게 한국 그 외교 디파트먼트한테 이렇게 항의를 해가지고 because like they say Suriname is the country is like a portrait as like a really like a drug country.
Sure.
Or where like a lot of like bad accidents happen.
Right.
그래서 그것 때문에 이제 country 그 수리남 country의 이미지가 되게
안 좋아져.
네, 안 좋아졌다.
Yeah, didn't that happen before? It was like 범죄 도시 or something like that.
Yeah, similar thing happened.
Similar
because
story.
It portrayed like
어디였죠?
Chinese citizens
That's
who
right.
came over to Korea
Correct.
really in a bad way. So
Yeah.
that happened too.
I mean, we watch it as a movie, but because you say, oh, it's based on a true story, 믿게 되잖아. Lots
그렇죠.
of different things. And, you know, you tend to believe even the actor is a bad guy
right.
and things like that. And so
Right.
definitely believable that it could cause, you know, to ruffle a few feathers here and there. But I actually never heard of Suriname. 수리남은 어디에 있는 나라일까요?
It's in South America. I searched it, and then it's located in northern part of Brazil,
Oh,
and
okay.
then next to Venezuela.
I see.
So it's in between Brazil and Venezuela.
Okay. And so for this drama, let's talk about up to what point can be called real and to what extent is it just a drama? 어디까지 실화이고 어디까지 드라마인가요?
So the main villain of the drama is the pastor Chun Yo-han. But before this, we talked about it, but this could be like a spoiler.
맞아.
So you have to,
Just a
consider it.
disclaimer, there could be a spoiler as we talk about this drama. 근데 I'm sure lots of people have watched it. And how old is it? 최근 거인가요?
Yeah, I think it's very recent, like a less than
그럼
1 year, I
조심히
guess.
들어주시길 바랍니다.
If you really care about being spoiled, just don't hear this.
Yeah. But it is an interesting story because I heard he wasn't a pastor in real life.
Mm-hmm. He was a ship freight machine operator. He
right.
worked on ships. He committed a fraud in Korea and ran away to Suriname.
So I guess he had a business that didn't go so well. He started to
Right.
traffic
Right.
drugs, sell drugs.
That's the similar part with the movie because in the movie, the character was like selling 홍어 in
Oh, okay.
they were getting 홍어, I guess, and then selling it to Korea because in those places they don't really eat 홍어 there.
Right.
There.
Importing, maybe?
Right. Importing from
홍어.
Suriname.
But was he actually close to the president of the country of Suriname, just like in the drama?
Yeah, that's
right.
That part is a true story.
That part is true. But because, you know, I can't believe that the president would also deal drugs while he was in the army. You know, that's an interesting point as well.
Right.
And what's his name? Jung Bong-heng, is that his name? Helped with Jo Bong-heng, that's right. Helped with fixing the ship and things like that. So many characters there that were based on real people, although certain names weren't revealed, I think, for privacy issues and safety issues. Mm-hmm. But in the drama, I want to know a little bit more about, I guess, what was real and what wasn't. Can you tell me a little bit more?
The Kang In-gu, who is played by actor Ha Jung-woo, is also based on a real person. Mm-hmm. His actual name isn't revealed. And then in the drama, Kang In-gu was fooled by Chun Yo-han and went to prison. And then he got help from the National Intelligence Service. But in a real setting, that person was doing business in Suriname, and then Cho Bong-heng refused to pay him, and therefore couldn't continue the business. So he sought help from the Korean embassy in Venezuela, and then that's how he started working with NIS.
Wow, the NIS. So he did missions on behalf of the NIS then?
Right. And then he did something even more dramatic than the drama itself. That person shaved his head and fought Chinese gangs for months in Chinatown so he could get into the Cho Bong-heng's cartel.
Right.
But he had no helpers, agents, so he was just all by himself.
All by himself. 얼마나 무서울까요?
Right.
I mean, you're like in this mission, nobody knows about you. You're all on your own. 드라마에서는 그 강인구가 국정원 요원과 통화해도 한 번도 걸리지 않았지만 but Kay got caught calling and went, almost died as well. And at that moment, he shouted at the cartel saying, it's all just a joke.
Yeah.
Why are you acting all
That's
serious?
really brave.
Yeah. Got out of the crisis. But, being a spy, I can't imagine how, terrifying that would be. But that brought Cho to Sao Paulo in Brazil. Mm-hmm. And then he got caught by the local authorities.
Right.
So then what happened after that?
So he was sent back to Korea in 2011, and then he was sentenced 10 years in prison, and then he died inside a hospital in April due to his health matters.
Wow. So he died in prison. 감옥에서 죽었죠. 정말 실화를 그대로 드라마에 썼어도 너무하다고 했을 일이 굉장히 많을 텐데 But then you think about, how recent it is as well. 생각보다 최근에 일이 더 약간 surprising인 것 같아요. Because you watch these dramas and movies. 옛날 얘기라고 생각할 수 있지만 너무나 최근한 일이기 때문에 더 놀라운데요. In any case, if you guys have seen the drama or if you want to discuss more about the issue, let us know. 문자 받고 있기 때문에 많은 참여 부탁드립니다. We'll take a quick song break. Here is Daddy Yankee featuring Louis Fonsi, Despacito. Fact is wilder than fiction when it comes to narco saints. Talking about Suriname, the drama that is depicted on a real life story all about entrepreneurship going wrong, partnerships gone wrong, drug deals gone wrong.
All went wrong.
All went wrong. Now, we're here talking a lot about drugs for today. It's an interesting topic, and we want to tread waters carefully. 이제 사건파일 오늘은 이제 국내외 마약 사건에 대해 알아보고 있는데요. 변호사님, 영어에서는 마약을 drug이라고 하잖아요. 그래서 영어 처음 배우는 분들이 drugstore 배우면 깜짝 놀랄 수도 있지만, there's different terms that we use drugs in the U.S., but also here in Korea, there are a few slang terms and things like that. But 미국이나 영국에서는 법률 용어로 drug를 어떻게 표현하나요?
영국까지는 제가 잘 모르겠고.
Okay. But I guess just in English.
Yeah, in the States, it's just drug.
Right.
In English too.
Okay.
They call it drug or narcotic drug, like same term as we use.
Are narcotics and drugs different? Or they're
I think it's a similar term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then in Korean, I mean, I watched movies where they would say 뽕 as drugs.
Right. It's like a general slang for those kind of like mayaks.
Right. But mayak is what we would use in the legal term as well.
Right. So in Korean, we have the Drugs Control Act, and then it is in Korean 마약류 관리에 관한 법률. So they call it 마약.
There you go. So we're going back to this story about Cho Bong-heng. 한번 얘기로 돌아볼게요. 전도연 씨가 주연한 영화가 있는데요. 집으로 가는 길, The Way Home. 근데 there's, I guess, a relation back to Mr. Cho as well with this movie.
Well, I think they say it's related because it's same drug story. It was a story about a mom who happened to carry a luggage upon a request from her husband's friends in exchange for some amount of money.
Sure.
But it was found out that they had drugs in the luggage. And then she was arrested, and then she was detained in a prison in France for 2 years.
Wow.
Well, it's written in the instruction at the airport that you should not carry someone else's luggage.
Right.
That's what happens.
Yeah, that's what happened. You just never know.
Right,
and,
right.
you know, they have it on the PA system, on the announcements as well. You know, don't take a favor from anybody.
Right.
Don't leave your bags anywhere unattended either. Just always have it with you because you never know. People could slip it into your bag
Right,
without
right.
knowing. And you just never know how messy it can get. But 공항에서도 절대 남의 물건 들어주면 안 됩니다.
Never.
그런, yeah.
Especially in exchange for money.
Of course. Yeah, that's just, you don't want to get your life, you
Risk
know.
your life.
Yeah, risk your life for just a few, who knows, an X amount of money. But in any case, in the drama, it looked like, you know, this drug kingdom. It was a huge cartel, 거의 마약의 왕국이라고 볼 수 있지만, and I wonder why he only got 10 years in prison, despite that fact. Because every time something like this happens, you know, they get a punishment, and you're like, is that, you know, is there
Enough?
enough? Or are there other dirty details being hidden? You know, your mind just wonders. But what did you think about it?
Well, in that incident, in that case, he did not actually carry the drugs himself. And then he had Suriname citizenship, and then it happened outside Korea. It happened in Suriname. So I think those are factored into the sentence. And also, 10 years of imprisonment is not really weak.
Okay.
The government sets out the sentence standards. In Korean, it's 양형 기준. And then they say if you participate in drug dealing and if you do it for profit, then you would get a sentence anywhere between 7 and 11 years.
Wow.
So 10 years is like a right in between.
Right. So then what happens if he got sentenced in different countries? Because he's a Suriname citizen, it would just depend on where he got caught? Or is it because he's, you know, ethnically Korean too?
Yeah. It's, the Korean court sentenced on that because he's Korean.
Right.
And then under the Korean law, if you commit any kind of crime under the Korean law, even outside of Korea, you can get punished here in Korea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in America, it could be a little bit different as well. Do you know what what could have happened if he got caught in America?
It's similar in the U.S. if you're convicted of consuming drugs.
Okay.
If it's a first instance, then you would get less than 1 year of sentence.
Really?
If it's the first
It's the
instance, and then you just used it.
Right. Okay. All right. So are there like different standards of what kind of drugs as well?
For that part, I really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you do it like multiple times, then it could go up to 3 years. And then, but because drug is really widespread in the U.S. Compared to Korea, they really focus on treating the drug addicted people.
I see.
They have over 3,000 drug courts in the U.S. and then they run rehab programs between 9 and 18 months.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, prevention is, you know, what you would want to focus on. And if people are hooked on these drugs, rather than punishing them, you would want them to get better in hopes that they wouldn't return back to their old state. Well, in any case, we learned a lot. 변호사님 덕분에 많은 것을 배웠는데요. Hopefully we're not tiring you out as well.
I know, it's okay.
But
it's
I
really
had a lot of fun.
Talking. Yeah,
yeah,
me
absolutely. Too. Hopefully we get to see you again next week if you're not too busy, and we'll talk more about all these different 사건Files. But in any case, 너무 즐거웠습니다.
감사합니다. Thank you very much.
See you again next week.